All right, I'm going to do a few of these problems on this practice just to get you started in case you have forgotten what it's looking for here. Something that's really important to make sure that you are paying attention to is what are the instructions or the directions that are being given here, because all the pictures are going to look the same or very similar. So you're not going to be able to know just by looking at the problem what you're supposed to do. You have to actually read the instructions. So here it says, find the value of each trigonometric ratio. So remember, a ratio is just a fraction. So what we want to know is the fraction for cosine of C for this particular triangle. So I'm going to write at the top SOHCAHTOA, because that's how I remember which one I am using and what the ratio is. So you'll notice here at the top, a little hard to see that, SOHCAHTOA tells me the ratio for sine, the ratio for cosine, the ratio for tangent. So if I have opposite over hypotenuse, this tells me the fraction. Opposite goes on top, hypotenuse on the bottom. Adjacent over hypotenuse for cosine, opposite over adjacent for tangent. So when I'm looking at this first one here and it asks for the ratio, I want to write that fraction. Cosine of C equals what over what? Well, cosine is ca, so cosine equals adjacent over hypotenuse. So where is C? Well, C is this angle, so this is my theta right here, this little skinny one. So based on this angle, the opposite would be this 9 here at the bottom. So across from the 90-degree angle, opposite our 90-degree angle is this 41, so that's my hypotenuse. And that leaves the 40 to be my adjacent leg. So one leg is opposite, other leg is adjacent, and then hypotenuse is always hypotenuse. So for cosine of C, according to this angle, I want adjacent over hypotenuse. Well, adjacent leg for this angle is the 40, right? So I'm going to put 40 on the top of my fraction. And then the hypotenuse is 41, so 40 over 41. And that's all I need to do, because all I needed to do was write this ratio. So if we do number 2, this should feel very easy now. If I do number 2, we're focusing tangent, and we're focusing on angle A, which is this one down here. So tangent, TOA, is equal to opposite over adjacent. So the opposite side from this one, the opposite leg is the 9. The adjacent leg is the 40 again. And the hypotenuse is still 41. It's the same triangle, just turned around. So I'm focusing on the same angle, but I'm looking at tangent. So tangent of this angle A, so tangent of A, is going to equal opposite over adjacent. Well, the opposite is 9. The adjacent is 40, so it's 9 over 40. So you're going to go through the front of this worksheet, and you're going to do 3 through 8. And so on the back, this time it's asking us to actually find the missing side, so we're not just writing a ratio, but we're going to use those ratios that we just wrote to try to find the value of this x here. So what's super important is that you still continue to label your sides opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse. What we're going to use as our referencing point, as our perspective, is going to be the acute angle that they tell us. So in this triangle, we have a 90-degree angle. They're telling us this acute angle of 29, so this is our theta. We don't know this angle, so we're not using this one. Everything we base our opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse on are going to be based on this 29-degree acute angle. So hypotenuse, always across from the 90-degree angle. Across from the 29 is x, so this is our opposite. Next to the 29, the leg next to it is the 18, so that is our adjacent. We have to figure out which trig function would make sense to use in this problem. The way we're going to do that is we're going to look at what information did they tell us about the sides of the triangle. I have my theta, which is 29. I have this adjacent side, which is 18. And I don't have the opposite side, but that's the side I'm looking to find. So I'm going to use the x and the opposite side as well. So I got to think, if I'm looking at SOHCAHTOA, let me write that up here again. If I want to use the opposite side and the adjacent side, that would go with OA, opposite and adjacent. That means I would want to use tangent. So I'm going to use the tangent function with this 29-degree angle, and I'm going to set up a ratio. So tangent is tangent, sine, cosine, they're always tangent of an angle. So what is the angle I'm focusing on? This 29-degree angle. It's always an acute angle, always something less than 90. So tangent of the angle that is 29 degrees is going to be equal to the fraction opposite over adjacent. So in this case, x is my opposite, 18 is my adjacent, so it goes x over 18. This time, instead of it being an unknown in the angle spot, it's an unknown in one of my sides. I can use this equation to help me solve for what x is. What I need to do is make this into a proportion. So I need to make this both sides of the equation into fractions. Then I'm going to do my cross multiplying like we practiced. So what that means is I'm going to take x and I'm going to multiply it times 1. X times 1 is x. That's going to be equal to 18 times the tangent of 29, or tangent of 29 times 18. Because the x is by itself on this side and everything else is on the other side, tan of 29 is a number. It's a number the calculator has to tell me. So I just need to do the operation of multiplying tangent of 29 times 18, and that will tell me what x is. So if we look at our calculator, let's learn how to do that. First, you need to check on your calculator to make sure you're in degree mode. It'll say degree right here. If it does not say that you're in degree mode, what you need to do is press the mode button. You need to arrow down to here. You're most likely it will look like this if you're not in degree mode. This radians will be highlighted. So you're going to go to radians. You're going to arrow over to degree. You're going to hit enter so that that's the one that's highlighted. Notice it changed back to degree up here. To get out, you can just hit clear. Or you can hit the blue button and then see how it says quit right here. Second quit. So in order to do tangent of 29 times 18, I need to do tangent 29. I got to close my parentheses and then times 18. If I don't close the parentheses, look what happens. I get a completely different answer. So make sure that you're telling it to do tangent of 29, and that's it. 29 is your angle, and multiply that times 18. So I get 9.977562926. Notice up here it says round to the nearest tenth. That's one decimal place. So is it 9.9 or do I have to round it up to 10? Well, I'm going to look at this 7. 7 tells the 9 to round up, so I got to round it up to 10.0. So x is approximately 10.0. There's no inches, miles, feet, any of that on here, so I'm just going to put 10.0. So you're going to go through each of these examples. You're going to set yourself up a proportion. Sometimes your x will be on the top, sometimes your x will be on the bottom. You're going to cross multiply, get your equation, and if you need to solve for x, you're going to do that. If it's x equals, you're just going to type it in the calculator. Alright, so try the next one on your own. Then check back in just a minute to see if you did it correctly, and then you'll be able to check back at the rest of your answers after you're done. So go ahead and pause and try 10 on your own. Alright, I've labeled my triangle. Theta is my 34-degree acute angle here, since I don't have an angle over here. Cross from my 90 is my hypotenuse, so x is my hypotenuse. Cross from my 34 is my opposite side, so that's my 20. I don't have anything on the adjacent side. I'm going to focus on just these two, the one that has the number and the one that has the x. Since I'm looking at the opposite side and the hypotenuse, that's OH, so I'm going to use sine for this one. So it's going to be sine of this angle, sine of 34 degrees. Might as well just go ahead and make it over 1 to begin with, because I know I need to make it into a fraction. Is going to equal, sine equals opposite over hypotenuse. So my opposite side is 20 over my hypotenuse, which is x. Notice this one's different. The x is in the denominator. It's not like I'm going to solve it completely different. It just has a couple different steps. So I'm still going to cross multiply. Once I have this proportion set up, I'm going to cross multiply. 20 times 1 is 20. That's going to be equal to sine of 34 times x. So remember, sine of 34 is just a number. sine 34 times x. So imagine it like it's just a coefficient of x. I don't have the x by itself because this sine of 34 is stuck on it. How do I get it unstuck? Well, it's multiplying, so I need to do the inverse of multiplying. That's right, I need to divide. Divide this coefficient away. When I do that, those cancel out and it's just x. On this side, I have to do the same thing, sine of 34. In my calculator, I'm going to do 20 divided by sine of 34. Let's do that. 20 divided by sine 34. 35.765833. So rounding to the nearest tenth, is it 35.7 or 35.8? The 6 tells me to round it up to 8, so it's 35.8. So x, I'm going to change this to a squiggly, is approximately 35.8. All the rest of the problems on this page are either like this one or like this one, with the x on the top or with the x on the bottom. You've got to decide if it's sine, cosine, or tangent. You've got to set up your proportion. You've got to cross multiply, and then you've got to use your calculator to get your final answer. So go ahead and do the rest.